We are back on the record. All jurors are present. All counsel and the defendant are also present. Jane Doe number 4 is still on the stand. You're still under oath. All right?
Okay.
And do you remember where you left off? All right. You can resume your direct examination. Go ahead.
Thank you. So, Ms. Doe, you were just telling us that after Kellen had stopped, had left the room, came back in and made a comment towards you, and Matt began to help you put your clothes back on. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, after Matt helped you put your clothes on, did you see Kellen again that night?
No.
Do you know where he went after saying she's just a stupid bitch and leaving?
No.
What happened after Matt helped you get your clothes back on?
He helped me get dressed and brought me out to a vehicle and told me he would take me to my friends.
At this point in time, had you seen Nikki since you parted ways at the gas station?
No.
Had you seen Chris since you parted ways at the gas station?
No.
Other than Matt and Kellen and perhaps the people you remember holding a camera, did you see anybody else in that house that night?
No.
Now, did you, after Matt helped you get your clothes on, did you leave the house?
Yes.
Do you remember what type of car he drove?
What I remember while sitting in the car was seeing a BMW emblem on the steering wheel.
At this point, was Matt helping you?
Yes.
Did he say anything to you about what had happened?
He just asked me if I felt like I've been raped.
When he asked you if you felt like you had been raped, do you remember if you responded?
I just was crying hysterically.
When you say that you were crying hysterically, were you still emotional based on what had happened?
Yes.
Did he ask you more than once?
Yes.
How many times would you say he asked you if you had been raped?
3.
Do you ever remember if you said anything back to him?
No.
Where did you go once Matt was driving you away from his house?
We met up with Nicole and Chris.
Do you remember where you were, where you met up with Nicole and Chris?
No.
Do you remember how it was that either you or Matt had contacted Nicole or Chris?
No.
Once you met up with them, were you still alone in the car with Matt?
Yes.
Was there anyone else that met up with you other than Nicole and Chris?
No.
Tell us what happened once you met up with them.
Matt carried me from Nicole, or from his car into Nicole's car.
And was that Nicole's Ford Explorer?
Yes.
Remember where he put you?
In the passenger front seat.
Was Matt a pretty big guy?
The tall guy.
Was he as big as Kellen?
As tall as Kellen, not as width-wise.
Now, when Matt and Chris and Nicole met with you at this location, I know you don't recall where it was, but when you met together, do you remember Chris saying anything in that moment?
Asking what happened.
Did you see a conversation between Matt and Chris?
Yes.
Did you see Matt talking and telling Chris what had happened?
Not specifically.
Do you remember what Chris said when they were having that conversation? Effect on the listener or state of mind?
Overruled, subject to a motion to strike. You can answer.
And start with the question one more time.
Do you remember what Chris said in response in that moment when they were having that discussion?
This would destroy his career.
Objection. Hearsay.
It goes-
Strike.
Your Honor.
It's not, overruled is not offered for its truth. The answer will stand.
Thank you, Your Honor. When you heard that, were you being carried into the car, or were you already in the car?
It was already in the car.
And when I say the car, I'm referring to Nicole's Ford Explorer.
Yes.
What happened after you heard that exchange, that conversation between Matt and Chris?
They left and Nicole got into her vehicle.
Where did you and Nicole go?
Back to her home.
You mentioned that you had been crying hysterically in Matt's car. Can you describe your demeanor when you were with Nicole?
Just crying and telling her I told him to stop.
Did she ask you any questions, if you remember?
She asked me what happened, and all I could say was, I told him to stop.
Where did you go with Nicole?
To her home.
What did you do once you got there?
I took a shower.
When you were in this state afterwards, were you feeling the effects of alcohol still, or were you just upset and emotional based on what had happened?
Just upset with what just had happened.
Do you remember having any further conversation with Nicole that night other than you telling her that you kept telling him to stop?
No.
Do you know if Nicole knew who you were referring to when you were saying, I was telling him to stop?
Yes.
How do you know that?
Because she saw me leave with them. So maybe her assumption was that it was with that individual.
Objection. Strike speculative.
Overruled, the answer will stand.
Based on your conversation with her in that moment, that's what you took it to mean, right?
Yes.
Now, when you slept over at Nicole's house, do you remember talking to her about what had happened the next day?
No.
Now, going forward from this time, did you call the police in 2003 to report what Mr. Winslow had done?
I did not.
Why didn't you call the police?
The 17-year-old drinking underage. I'd slept with him 2 weeks prior. I didn't think anybody would believe anything I had to say.
Now, other than having met him and knowing him as Kellen, did you know anything about like what he was doing or where he was going to school during that time?
No.
When Chris made the comment this will ruin his career, did you know what that meant at that point?
Like the next couple days, I found out who he was, who his father was, and what he was up to.
When you say who he was, did you know that he was a college football player?
At the time I didn't, but afterwards I did.
Did you know that his father had been a professional football player as well?
At that time when I found out, yes.
And you're saying that that's after the sexual assault?
Yes.
Did that factor into why you chose not to call the police?
Yes.
Why?
Because why would anybody believe some girl that got drunk to who his father is, this, well-known man who's been in the NFL and the Hall of Fame and a pristine, person? Why would his son do something so disgusting? Why would anybody believe?
Objection. Narrative at this point.
Overruled, it's responsive, you can continue. Go ahead.
Why would anybody believe me?
Other than talking to Nicole about what had happened, did you tell anybody else here in San Diego before moving to Hawaii?
No.
Why not?
Because I think nobody would have believed me. They would have, in your mind, you're kind of like, did you allow yourself to go in that situation?
Is that how you felt?
Yes.
And then going forward, did you in fact move to Hawaii just a few weeks later?
Yes.
Do you remember what time of month in July 2003 that you moved away?
I know it was after 4th of July.
When you had relocated to Hawaii, did you maintain any contact with any of your friends in San Diego?
Nicole.
How is it that you stayed in contact with Nicole?
Through phone calls, text messages.
As you began to grow older, did your relationship with Nicole, as friends from high school, did that actually fade away a little bit?
Yes.
Once you grew older and you met your husband, fair to say that you didn't keep in close contact with her?
Yes.
Now, in terms of people that you've spoken to about what had happened, did you ever tell anyone other than Nicole from then until June of 2018 about what had happened?
Yes.
Did you speak to a person by the name of Brandon Guillermo about what had happened?
Yes.
Who's Brandon Guillermo?
An ex-boyfriend of mine.
When was it that you were in a relationship with Brandon Guillermo?
We started dating at the end of 2003, December of 2003.
At this point in time, were you still 17 years old, or had you turned 18?
I had turned 18.
Did you meet him in Hawaii when you were living there?
Yes.
Can you just tell us about that relationship and how it led to you talking to him about what happened?
We eventually moved in with one another, and he woke me up because I was screaming and crying because I was having flashbacks of what happened between myself and Kellen and the individuals. Multiple times he said to shake me, to wake me up.
Now, if you started this relationship with him in the end of 2003, do you recall specifically when it was that you had moved in with him and you had these flashbacks where he would have to wake you up?
I want to say like January is when it started.
Would that be January 2004?
Yes.
So it's still within about 7 months of when the event actually happened?
Yes.
Now, when you say that you were having flashbacks and he would wake you up because you were screaming, do you remember what it was that you told him about what had happened?
I just explained to him that somebody had assaulted me back home.
Do you know if you used that word assaulted or another word to describe it?
Somebody raped me.
Do you remember what word you said?
Rape.
Do you remember if you told him who had done that?
I remember saying his name.
You don't remember?
I don't remember.
Now, other than that one time when he had woken you up while you were having flashbacks while asleep, did you have any other conversations with him about what happened to you with Mr. Winslow?
No.
Is that your best memory?
Yeah.
Other than speaking with Mr. Guillermo about what had happened, did you tell anyone else about what Mr. Winslow had done to you?
My husband.
When was it that you first met your husband?
In 2011.
In terms of the time when you spoke to him about what happened, can you tell us that context?
I'm sorry.
When was it, as you best recall, that you talked to your husband about what Mr. Winslow had done to you?
Was in 2012.
If you met him in 2011, were you in a pretty serious relationship at the time of 2012?
Yes.
Did you feel like you could confide in him?
Yes.
Can you tell us how it was that this conversation came up?
Just, like being in a new relationship, people look at things sexually, want to know what their partners like, what they dislike. A conversation had come up. Have you ever thought about partners or groups or anything like that? And I freaked out. I told him no. And he's like, it was just a question. This is not something that I'm into. It's just something, we want to get to know one another. And I told him no, and I freaked out. And he's like, what's the deal? What's your problem? And that's when I started crying, and I told him what had happened in 2003.
Do you remember when you told your husband about what had happened in 2003, what words you used to describe what happened?
I explained to him that, not like, I don't know how do I say this, that I was taken advantage of while I was under the influence, that somebody penetrated me or had sex with me without my acknowledgement or without my consent, or allowed somebody to videotape me, because that is not something that I want in my life, or I find pleasurable, or I think it's okay.
Do you remember if you told him who had done that to you?
I want to say I said his name, but I don't fully remember.
Now, going forward from when you had that conversation with your husband, did he ask you any follow-up questions, or did you have any additional conversations other than that one time?
No.
Now, I want to talk to you about what it was that led you to report this incident to the Sheriff's Department. In June of 2018, other than speaking to your husband and your boyfriend about what had happened, had you disclosed this to anyone else?
No.
Did you ever report it to law enforcement between 2003 and June of 2018?
No.
In June of 2018, did you receive some information from the news about a pending criminal prosecution against Mr. Kellen Winslow?
Yes.
How was it that you came across that information?
Through Snapchat, you can see there's like different snaps through people you follow on Instagram or Facebook. I follow the San Diego Tribune on Snapchat. So all of a sudden I see his face and I freak. I click on it and I'm just like, no way. I start crying. I start thinking about what happened. And that's how I knew or saw anything about Kellen.
When you say that you came across this on Snapchat, was it a news article that was covering the fact that Mr. Winslow had been arraigned on criminal charges involving sexual assault?
Yes.
Did you read that Union Tribune article that had been published after his arraignment on June 15th of 2018?
Yes.
Do you remember when specifically you saw the article in relation to June 15th of 2018?
I don't remember the specific date.
You mentioned that you freaked. Did you become emotional about, after seeing that article?
Yes.
Did you think back to what had happened to you?
Yes.
Were you still living in North Carolina with your husband and 2 children?
Yes.
Now, when that happened and you saw that article, did you talk to anybody about it?
Nicole.
Is that Nicole Edwards?
Yes.
So if your relationship with Nicole had faded and you weren't in as frequent contact with her, how did you reach out to Nicole?
Through Instagram Messenger.
And what did you do when you reached out to Nicole?
I had taken a screenshot of the article and sent it to her.
When you sent her a screenshot of the article, why did you do that?
Because I know she knew.
What do you mean by that?
I knew she would know how I felt.
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled. It goes to her state of mind.
Thank you, Your Honor. And when you reached out to her via Instagram Messenger, did you tell her how you were feeling in that moment?
Yes.
Was this the first time that you had spoken about it, other than the times that you've already mentioned with Mr. Guillermo and your husband?
Yes.
Why was it that you felt the need to reach out to Nicole and send her that article and tell her how you were feeling?
Because she's my person. Even though you're so far from one another, me and not talking in years, just me not seeing your kids, she's still that person that's gonna know how you felt or saw how you felt.
Now, when you sent her that article, did she respond to you?
She did.
Other than telling her how you felt, did she tell you that she remembered?
Yes.
Did you, in fact, after you spoke to her about it, did you tell her about how this was impacting you in that moment after seeing that he had been arraigned on sexual assault charges?
Yes.
Were you still emotional thinking about what had happened to you?
Yes.
Do you need a moment? Your Honor, may I just take a brief moment?
Sure.
Would you like some water?
Oh, okay.
Do you want to take the break?
No, it's okay. Sorry. Okay.
When you were feeling that way and you were communicating her on Instagram Messenger, did you talk to her about why you never said anything?
Yes.
Did that factor into how you were feeling in that moment that ultimately led to you reporting this to law enforcement?
Yes.
And when you were talking to her, was she responding to you about what she recalled?
Not fully, she just said she wished we would have said something at the time.
Now, other than speaking to Nicole in this Instagram messaging conversation, did you talk to your husband about how you were feeling after seeing the news?
I did.
And can you just describe like how that conversation was?
Same thing, told him I was freaking out. I can't believe this is happening. Just feeling completely overwhelmed, crying. And his reply back to me was like, you need to tell your story.
When your husband began to encourage you to come forward, did Nicole also encourage you to come forward?
Yes.
Other than those two, did you talk to anybody about what had happened?
No.
And this is in the time frame of June of 2018.
Correct.
Did you in fact make a decision to contact the Sheriff's Department in San Diego?
Yes.
How was it that you did that?
At the end of the article, it just says to contact, and I called the phone number that was listed.
Do you recall speaking with a sergeant by the name of James Emig after making initial contact with the Sheriff's Department?
Yes.
Do you remember when that was in relation to when you saw the article?
It was like a couple days after.
And with that couple day time period, was that when you had the Instagram conversations with Nicole and then also the conversation with your husband?
Yes.
What was it about your husband and Nicole's support that led you to decide to call the Sheriff's Department?
It actually wasn't even them two. It was my kids.
What was it about your children that caused you to call the Sheriff's Department?
I look at two innocent girls and never would want them to ever feel like they didn't have a voice, that it was not okay, or that it's okay to say no and to be able to speak up and tell their truths.
Now, when you contacted the Sheriff's Department and had this conversation with Sergeant Emig, was that over the phone?
Yes.
How long would you say it lasted?
20 minutes.
And when you were talking to him about what happened, were you attempting to describe as best you could what led up to and happened during the sexual assault?
I tried to, but he also stated that I should not say specifics because it's over the phone.
Did he inform you that he would arrange for a follow-up interview?
Yes.
Did he give you any details about how that would happen?
He said that it would either be him or yourself would have contacted me.
And when you're saying yourself, are you referring to me being a member of the District Attorney's Office?
Yes.
And were you in fact interviewed at your home on July 6th of 2018?
Yes.
And was that with me and District Attorney Investigator Chris Phelan and District Attorney Investigator Kathy Pierce?
Yes.
And how long would you say we sat down together to talk about what happened?
A few hours.
And was that interview recorded?
Yes.
Now, Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I'm going to show you a series of exhibits that have been marked as court's exhibits 154, 155, 156, and 157. Beginning with the first, do you recognize what those are?
Yes.
What are they?
These are the messages between myself and Nicole.
And when you say the messages, are these the actual Instagram Messenger communications that you sent to her after seeing the news article?
Yes.
Now, that conversation begin on June 18th of 2018?
Yes.
And did that begin with a text message from you being sent to her with a link to the news article that you were referring to in your testimony?
Yes.
Showing you first Court's Exhibit 154 for identification. Looking to the left, did you in fact take screenshots of that messenger conversation where you then provided them to the District Attorney's Office to show the conversation you had with Nicole Edwards?
Yes.
And are these those screenshots, at least the first two?
Yes.
Looking at the left, do you see the date of June 18th of 2018?
Yes.
And then do you see the link to the article which states complaint against Kellen Winslow II alleges 5 incidents, including rape, and then it cuts off?
Yes.
And did it have a photograph associated with that webpage or that article?
Yes.
And did you recognize that as being Kellen Winslow?
Yes.
Is this the article that you saw from the Union Tribune that caused you to be emotional?
Yes.
What was it that you said to Nicole Edwards when you sent her that text message and that link?
Like it says here, I am just saying he deserves, sorry, it's obviously weird thing. I'm not sure what you remember, but because of him, I've gone through a lot of shit.
Did you continue to send her messages about how you were feeling in that moment?
Yes.
What'd you say?
Never said anything because I thought it was always my fault. But I remember screaming no, and I just can't, Nikki. This is truly bringing me to tears and freaking me out.
How did Ms. Edwards respond to you?
I do remember. Hated that we never said anything. I'm so glad that they finally got him.
What did you say to her after Nikki responded to you in that way?
You have no idea the feelings I'm having right now.
And what did she say?
I'm so sorry.
What did you say back to her?
Thanks, Nikki. I just needed to share this with you. It's just been something that has messed me up for so long.
And how did she respond?
And
When
by the way, if there's any mention of your name in any of these, don't state your name, okay? All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor, I appreciate that. Now, moving forward to Court's Exhibit 155, which contains the entirety of the next text message, beginning at the top on the left. What was your response to Nikki after she had said that?
That's actually Nicole's response, the top left.
Pardon me, just going back to 154. After you said, thanks, Nikki, in that text message, how is it that Nicole responded beginning on the top left of 155?
When I first heard of it, it was,
I'm not getting hearsay at this point as to Nicole.
Sustained.
Now, in terms of the communication that you then had with Ms. Edwards, did you continue to describe how you were feeling in that moment?
yes,
And were there things that Ms. Edwards was saying back to you that prompted further disclosure about how you were feeling?
yes,
Now, in terms of that conversation, did that factor into why it was that you then came forward to law enforcement?
yes,
Did she say such things to you as, you need to tell your story?
yes,
Did you say things to her about why you wanted to come forward, yes or no?
It is leading, I'll allow it. The other option is to put the whole thing up on the board and have some hearsay statements come in. So overruled, you can answer.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
I'll re-ask it. Did you then tell her certain things in response to what she was telling you about why you were willing to come forward and talk to the police?
Yes,
What was it that you told her about why you were willing to come forward and talk to the police? Do you recall specifically?
Keenan asks the question again, sorry.
Are you asking about the contents of Court Exhibits 154 through 157?
I can ask if you have not had, would it refresh your recollection to refer to that text message conversation regarding that specific question of what you told her that led to why you wanted to come forward and
Yes.
speak to the police?
Sorry.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Now, showing you for counsel, it's Exhibit 156, the second portion, the second text message that's sent by you. Just read that to yourself first, not out loud, and let me know if that's refresh your recollection.
Yes,
What was it that you recall telling Ms. Edwards about why it is that you were going to come forward with the police?
because I need closure.
Did you tell her that this was still affecting you?
Yes,
Did you tell her that your husband was encouraging you?
yes.
How did she respond to you in that moment when you told her that you were going to come forward?
She said, I agree and I support you.
Thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Cross?
Ms. Doe, you testified at the preliminary hearing in this case? remember?
Yes,
You came to court and gave your testimony,
yes,
all that. And you gave an interview to the police on the phone, right?
correct.
And then you came and spoke to the prosecutors, correct?
They came to me.
They came to you, okay. But you gave an interview to the prosecutor and his investigators, correct?
Yes,
Okay. Now, since the prelim, you understood that you gave it, well, according to the Officer Emig, Sergeant Emig, you gave a completely different version of events to him than you did to the investigators from the DA's office. You understand that, right?
Objection, argumentative, and facts not in evidence.
Overruled, you can answer.
I did give a statement.
Right, and it was different, the statement you gave to, well, let me ask you this. You said, you told us during the direct examination that, and this is your testimony, that Officer Emig told you not to be specific in details over the phone,
Correct.
okay? And you recall that,
Yes,
and you didn't testify to that at the prelim, remember that,
correct.
right? So this is something for the first time, you're saying that this officer told you not to be specific.
Correct.
So let me get this right. You call the number on this hotline for potential victims in a case involving Kellen Winslow, correct?
Correct.
And it's specifically for victims of sex allegations, correct?
Yes,
And then you are basically, you call the number and they channel you to Officer Emig or Detective Emig,
correct.
Sergeant Emig, right?
Yes,
And he's taking a report of a sexual offense, correct?
yes.
But he tells you not to be specific on the details.
He explains to me that because of the individual, that I should not be specific until I speak to Mr. Dan Owens.
Okay, so is it your test, did you tell the, just let me ask you this, did you tell the, did you tell Sheriff Emig that you were picked up in a dark-colored SUV driven by Kellen Winslow?
I rode and he did, I mean, we met and I was in his vehicle, yes.
I'm asking you, did you say you were picked up by Kellen Winslow in a dark-colored SUV,
No,
right? Did you tell him that during the ride, you were provided alcohol by Kellen Winslow and that you blacked out?
no,
Okay, remember, listen to my statement. During the ride, you were provided alcohol by Kellen Winslow and then you blacked out.
Objection has to be answered.
Just
Well, overruled, I'm not, are you asking her if that's what she told the sergeant?
correct.
Okay, you understand the question?
yes.
Okay, you can answer that. Did you tell the sergeant that?
I did not.
All right, next question.
Did you tell the sergeant that when you awoke, you were in an extremely groggy state? Did you tell him that?
No,
And that you recall several males groping your breasts? Did you tell
no,
him? And that they were digitally penetrating you?
no,
You don't recall that?
no, sir.
And that they were touching other parts of your body?
No,
You didn't say that to the officer,
I did not.
okay? Shortly after regaining consciousness, did you tell him this, that after regaining consciousness, you recalled one of the males leaving the room and Kellen Winslow then having non-consensual vaginal intercourse with you?
No,
Did you tell him that you'd seen the news coverage and you wanted to help stop future assaults?
correct.
You told him that, right? And did you tell him that you were very interested in supporting the accusers of the current case?
Not very interested, but I am here to support as well.
So the statement that you were very interested in supporting the accusers is not a statement that you made?
No,
Right. So let me backtrack a little bit. So you say you didn't make the statements. So the statement that you were picked up by Kellen Winslow in a dark-colored SUV is incorrect.
correct.
That's a bad way to put it. True or false? You were picked up in a dark-colored SUV driven by Kellen Winslow. True or false?
Can you ask the question again?
Objection vague as to picked up.
Well, I'm talking the night of
Oh,
the,
just a minute, just a minute. The court will sustain the objection as being vague, but you can restate it.
the night that you were assaulted. Is it true that you were picked up in a dark-colored SUV driven by Kellen
I
Winslow?
don't know what you mean by picked up.
Well, I mean,
Like, did he show up to my home to pick me up? Is that,
I'm asking whether you recall ever being picked up by him, either at your home or at a location, other than you getting into the vehicle on your own?
No,
Okay, so that didn't occur,
no,
all right? You were never provided alcohol by Kellen Winslow, is that true or false?
I was not provided.
Okay, so it's true you were not provided alcohol?
It's true, I was not provided alcohol.
And so that we're clear, on the night of your assault, right, you said you had 2 or 3 beers,
Correct,
right? At most you had 3,
correct.
could have been 2?
Most would be 3,
Yeah, but the most would be 3, but you said 2 or 3, so
Yes.
could have been 2, right?
correct.
And nobody gave you anything to drink, right?
No,
You had a cup with you, which was that you brought on your own accord to the party, right?
yes,
And you poured the alcohol, or you watched the alcohol being poured into your drink from the keg,
yes,
and you drank from the keg.
yes,
In fact, you drank all of your alcohol before you even had contact with Mr. Winslow.
correct.
Mr. Winslow never gave you any drinks at all.
No,
Mr. Winslow never gave you any food.
no,
Mr. Winslow never gave you any drugs.
no,
He never gave you any marijuana.
no,
He never gave you any water to drink.
no,
So there's nothing that Mr. Winslow did that could have any input into your body at all.
no,
And for that matter, Matt, right? He didn't give you anything either.
no,
No food that he has?
no, nobody gave me anything.
Okay. So the only thing that went into your body that evening was what you put into your own body on your own accord.
Correct,
So you didn't tell the, on June 18th when you called the sheriff, you didn't tell him that, anything about anybody videotaping you, right?
I explained to them, that's what I said in my statement, and that's exactly what I told Mr. Dan Owens.
Okay, so it's your memory now that you told Sergeant Emick on the phone that you were being videotaped,
No, I know what I said to the sergeant.
okay?
What you're asking me, those questions, I did not say any of those things.
Okay, you didn't tell him that you were being videotaped.
I did tell him that I was being videotaped.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. So
Yeah.
when you called him on the phone, you told him that you were being videotaped.
Yes,
And did you tell him that you had a previous relationship with Mr. Winslow?
I did not get that far, no.
Okay, so you just told him about the night, that night that it happened.
Correct,
And you said that you were in a, I guess a condominium, and then you passed out and you woke up to being penetrated from behind.
I explained to him that we were in a townhouse, and that, yes, that's what happened.
Okay, because you said that you spoke to him for about 20 minutes. That's what you said on direct.
Correct,
And you said that in your preliminary hearing testimony also a few months back. Remember that?
correct,
So 20 minutes is a period of time, you would agree?
right,
It's enough for you to give certain details to this officer?
correct,
I mean, because if he's telling you not to be specific, it would be a pretty short conversation, wouldn't you agree?
correct.
All right, so you gave at least as much, did you give a detail that you've given here today
No,
to that officer? But you told him the basics. You told that officer that you met with Kellen Winslow, you went to a location, and that you had only had 2 or 3 beers. You told him that?
yes,
And then you told him that the next thing you know, you passed out and you woke up to being penetrated by Mr. Winslow.
yes,
And then you told him that he was shoving your face into his friend's crotch area.
I did not say that over the phone.
Okay, you didn't tell him that.
I did not say that over the phone.
Okay. But you told him you definitely told him you blacked out, right?
I did not say that I blacked out. Just said that I remember going to a bathroom and sitting on a couch and waking up to what was happening. I didn't say exactly what was happening, I just said what was happening.
Okay, but in relating that information to Sergeant Emmig, you're basically saying that you blacked out. I mean, because
I didn't use that specific word though.
that was your intent.
Okay,
I mean, well, I'm saying, there's a period of time where you don't remember anything, right?
correct?
And there's a period of time before that where you remember everything, right?
Uh-huh.
And then there's
Yes.
a period where you're after where you remember everything.
Okay,
So the period in between, you're letting this officer know that you blacked out.
okay,
I'm asking you.
yes.
Was that your intent?
Yes.
Okay. When, the phone call is on June 18th of 2018, when in relation to this set of text messages that you had, when was that?
I'm sorry?
If the phone call was June 18th, when were the text messages to Nikki?
This started on June 18th.
Okay. So the same day you called the sheriff?
Correct.
All right. And when did you read the articles about Mr. Winslow?
2 days prior.
Okay, you read a
2 days, a day prior.
2 days prior. So you read a Union Tribune article
Yes.
about the arraignment,
Correct.
but you also read a Sports Illustrated article, didn't you?
Yes.
And in that Sports Illustrated article, there was some opinion by somebody writing there that Mr. Winslow might use some type of CTE or concussion defense. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And that upset you.
Yes.
And then you told your friend Nikki, in fact, that they're going to try to use this defense about CTE or concussion. Remember that?
Yes.
And then he goes, "That's not." You said something about that, something to the effect of, "That's a bunch of crap because, he did this to me back in 2003." You recall that?
Yes.
Okay. It was upsetting to you that this professional football player might use some type of mental defense to get off of the charges. Is that what you were thinking?
That article is what that was saying.
I know, but that's
Yes.
what you were thinking because of the article, right?
Correct.
And so you were telling Nikki that also, right?
Yes.
And Nikki told you that she's 1,000,000% behind you,
Yes.
some of that effect. And you recall Nikki telling you also that you got to take this guy down. Remember that?
So, see where she says take him down.
Okay, you don't recall that? Okay. So you call so immediately, is it immediately after the text you decide then to call, or do you talk to your husband in between?
I would text my husband in between.
Okay. And then that's when you relayed the information about the assault initially to Sergeant Amick.
Correct.
Okay. So it's your memory that you had two contacts with Mr. Winslow. One was about 2 weeks prior to your assault.
Yes.
Right? And the week prior, the 2 weeks prior, you met up with Mr. Winslow. You were physically attracted to him, I take it?
Yes.
I mean, you guys are both young, you're teenagers, right?
Right.
He was an attractive teenager at the time?
Yes.
He was in college, right? You at least knew that.
No,
You didn't know anything about Mr. Winslow at all?
I did not.
Okay, you didn't know that he was he was a big-time college football player at University of
not.
Miami? You have to wait for me to finish. Big-time college player at University of Miami?
No.
Okay. None of your friends told you?
No.
Nobody at the party said, "Hey, there's Kellen Winslow"?
No.
Okay, so, and your friend Nikki didn't know?
She didn't say anything to me if she did.
Okay. So you are there with, you said Chris Rios. Is it Chris Resto?
I remember as it Rios, but
Could be Resto?
if so,
Okay. He was a friend of Matt's and Kellen's,
yes.
and Nikki knew him
Yes.
through this sort of weird thing, right? So you guys meet up like high school students, and I mean young kids. You're hanging out in parking lots, waiting for the next party to go to, basically, right?
Yes.
And on this first evening, you didn't have any alcohol at all.
I did not.
Okay. And so you go back to this apartment or condominium. Is it a house or condo?
I'm sorry, which event are you speaking of?
First.
The first time?
Yes.
It was a house that we
House.
went to.
Okay. And what you said on direct is you don't know how it happened, but you were upstairs with Mr. Winslow.
I said that I walked upstairs with him.
Right. You don't know how it. You said you don't know.
I don't know, like, the initial question, like, hey, do you want to go upstairs or something? I don't remember that part.
Right. But it's fair for me to say that you were basically a teenager. You were attracted to Mr. Winslow. You went willingly upstairs with him, and you were going to engage in some type of foreplay, to say the least.
Yes.
Okay. And the foreplay then would lead to sex.
Yes.
And so Mr. Winslow did not force you to go upstairs.
No,
Mr. Winslow did not threaten you to go upstairs.
no,
Mr. Winslow did not say, hey, you should have some of this drink, alcohol or drugs before you went upstairs either, did he?
no,
So you go upstairs, you guys, and by the way, before this time, you were flirting with him.
yes,
I mean, you were making it clear that you were interested in him,
yes,
right? You go upstairs, and, the foreplay goes to sex. Yes?
yes,
Right? His buddy Matt comes in, you see the guy. Did you know Matt from before?
no.
Okay, so you didn't know by name at the time?
I knew his name was Matt, but no, I never met him prior to this time.
Okay, so you guys are having sex. This guy comes sort of, you can see him in the background. Matt walks in.
He walked into the room, correct?
Okay. And you said he looked like he was looking for something.
Yes,
All right, and then according to your testimony, Kellen says it's okay, he can watch.
yes,
And you tell him, no, I'm not cool with that, right?
right.
Did Mr. Winslow then say anything to you in response to you saying I'm not cool with it?
He said he's just gonna watch,
Okay, and once again, you say I'm not good with it, right?
correct?
And then he says, like, let me finish.
Yes,
Right? And you say, no, this is over with, right?
yes,
And so you pull away and start putting your clothes on?
yes,
So let me ask you this, when you said no and you kind of pushed away, did Mr. Winslow grab you and pull you back to him?
no,
Okay, did Mr. Winslow slap you or hit you in any way?
no,
Did he threaten you? Did he say, if you don't do anything, I'm gonna kill you,
no,
right? So you said no and he let go,
yes,
right? And then you walked down, he started putting his clothes on, I take it?
I wasn't paying attention to him, just putting my clothes back on.
Okay, and you felt kind of weird, to say the least?
Yes,
So this was upstairs, right? Recall
Yes.
that. You walked down the stairs and Nikki's still there.
yes,
So when you walked down the stairs, were you crying?
no,
Were you upset?
yes,
Okay, so you're upset. Yes?
yes,
And your friend Nikki, you guys are pretty tight at this time?
yes,
Think that she's a pretty good judge of your emotions?
yes,
Could she tell, if you know, right, if you know, could you tell that you were upset?
I don't know.
Did you tell her, hey, I feel pretty stupid, or I want to get out of here?
Yes,
Okay, you do remember that?
yes,
So, correct me if I'm wrong, if there's you coming down the stairs and you go right down next to Nikki, you sit down on the couch like you said, and you say, hey, we gotta go.
yes,
That's expressing a little bit of concern or upset on your part, wouldn't you agree?
yes,
So you made it clear to her that you were upset.
yeah,
All right. On the ride away from, was Mr. Winslow in the room when you told her you had to go?
I don't remember.
Who was in the room with you?
There's other people in there. It was just me and her sitting on the couch. I wasn't acknowledging anybody else. Just know that I was telling Nikki that we should go.
Okay, so, but there could have been other people in the room you just don't know?
Correct.
And it's very likely that Mr. Winslow, you don't know because you didn't remember, but Mr. Winslow could have been in the room also?
Correct.
But from your memory of that particular event, nobody tried to stop you from leaving, correct?
No.
Nobody
Hang on
tried.
for a minute. I'm not sure what the answer is. The question was, but from your memory of that particular event, no one tried to stop you from leaving, correct? And you said no. Does that mean what he said is not correct? Or nobody tried to stop you from leaving?
Nobody tried to stop us from leaving.
Okay, I just want to make sure the answer is clear. So if you phrase it in a negative and add correct at the end, and she says no, I'm just not sure.
Yeah.
You understand, right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Carlos.
Okay, so then you get into the car with Nikki and you drive home?
We go back to her place.
Okay, so on the ride from the house to Nikki's house, we're still talking about the first incident here. You didn't say that Mr. Winslow tried to force himself on you, did you?
I did not.
Right, because he didn't.
He did not.
Right. And you didn't say that. All you did talk about was, his friend Matt came in. Did you tell her that?
Yes.
And that you weren't cool with it.
Correct.
Right. So there's about 2 weeks go by. This is 2003. Sort of pre everybody having a cell phone thing, right?
Yes.
So you didn't have Mr. Winslow's phone number.
I did not.
You didn't give him your phone number.
I did not have a cell phone.
Okay. Had you found out who he was between the first and the second incident?
I did not.
Okay. You never asked anybody?
No.
Didn't ask your friend Nikki who that guy was?
I mean, I asked her how, does Chris know him? And she said they went to school together.
Okay. So it's your memory that Nikki didn't say anything about Mr. Winslow being a college football player, potentially a pro football player?
No.
Right. So 2 weeks pass, you see, from your direct testimony, you guys are, I think, leaving a party, and you see Mr. Winslow and Matt coming by you in a car?
We were leaving the party and we see Chris, Matt, and Kellen. They were walking towards the house, and then we waved them down.
Okay, when you say we, did you wave them down?
No, Nikki waved them down.
Okay, did you say, hey, Nikki, don't wave that guy down because he did some weird stuff to me last time?
No, we were waving down Chris.
Okay.
I didn't think anything of it.
I mean, you saw the guy that you were with 2 weeks earlier, right?
Yes.
I mean, it was your, what you wanted to do was be with that person that you were with 2 weeks earlier. Isn't that fair to say?
No.
Okay, no?
What do you mean by be with them?
Well, I mean, make contact with them, party, do whatever, socialize.
Like hang out, yes.
So I guess the point is, from the first incident to the second incident, there was nothing about Mr. Winslow that caused you any concern or any fear, correct?
Correct.
Because otherwise you wouldn't have waved him down,
Yes.
right? So you see the guy, you're attracted to him, at least attracted to him enough the first time to have sex with him. You see him again, and you wave him down, correct?
Yes.
All right, so you are all talking, figuring out what the next place to go to is, right?
Yes.
And, sometimes there's parties and sometimes there's not, agree?
Yes.
And somebody says that, we should go to this condo or the house.
No. First, we said we should meet at a gas station to figure it out because the police were heading to the party we were at the time we saw them.
Okay. So is this when did you get to the gas station?
Right after we left that first party.
Okay. And you did, so we're clear, you did all your drinking at the first party.
Correct.
And I think you said in your prelim testimony that you drank the 2 or 3 beers in about an hour at the party, right?
Yes.
What time did the party let out?
I don't remember.
Do you mean if it was a late party or an early party?
I'm sure it was a late party.
So if the police are coming to break it up, maybe what, 10, 11, somewhere in there?
11.
11 o'clock? Give or take?
Yeah.
Right. So you had been drinking from 10 to 11 or drinking from 9 to 10, if you recall?
I wouldn't say 10 to 11.
Okay. So that wasn't the first time you ever had any alcohol, I take it?
No, it's not.
No, I mean, you're a teenager at the time and you go to parties and there's alcohol, correct?
Yes.
And you drink beer at the time.
Yes.
And you said previously in your testimony that you knew that 3 is kind of your limit, so you try to always keep it to 3?
Yes.
All right. But on this particular occasion, when you left the house after drinking for an hour or so, strike that. You didn't, 15 years ago, do you think you were keeping track of time that you were drinking?
I'm sorry.
15 years ago, you're 17 years old, right?
Okay.
Do you think that you're looking at your clock to figure out how much time I've been drinking for?
No.
So this is kind of like your best estimate, right?
Yes.
But you know personally from your own experience that 3 was kind of your limit, right?
Yes.
And 2 or 3 beers is kind of what you would do when you were at sort of parties.
Yes.
Fair? Is that fair for me to say?
Yes.
Okay. So that's more or less what you're basing the memory on, right?
Yes.
But you know what more than 3 beers does to you, I take it?
Yes.
Especially back when you were 17.
Yes.
So that evening, or you would recall whether or not you were I use the term sloppy drunk, right?
I'm sorry, can you ask the question again?
Yeah, I mean, you know what a sloppy drunk is like, right?
Yes.
Okay, you weren't a sloppy drunk,
No.
right? You weren't falling over.
No. You
weren't, slurring your words.
No.
I mean, people weren't saying, Miss Doe, we can't, you're wasted. Nobody told you that, did they?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay. Because you weren't.
Yes.
Okay. So you go into the parking lot, right? And that's at the parking lot at the gas station, and that's where the photo's taken, right?
Yes.
Look at, was it 154? What's the photo? The photo. So the photo of you and Mr. Winslow was taken in the parking lot of the gas station, correct?
Yes.
And you said it was Nicole that took the picture of you.
Yes.
Right? So did you ask Nicole to take the picture of you?
I believe so.
Okay, because you're having a good time.
Yes.
And Mr. Winslow there, does he appear the way he did that evening?
Yes.
He's in a bag of potato chips sitting in his car, right?
Yes.
You guys are just chilling in the parking lot
At the gas
at
station.
the gas station, right?
Yes.
And you appear to be pretty happy. You got a smile on your face.
It's a photo. You smile. So yes.
I mean, were you sad when you took the
No.
picture?
No.
No, I mean, you had no reason to be, right?
No.
I mean, you were with your friends, you know, you thinking about some other place to socialize with, right?
Yes.
And you feel comfortable around Mr. Winslow, despite what happened to you 2 weeks ago.
Correct.
Right. Do you appear, I mean, you know yourself, right? Do you appear to be intoxicated there?
Not like sloppy drunk. No.
Okay, take it down, thanks. And once again, nothing liquid or solid into your stomach between the party and the house.
No.
That's I always say that. It's a bad way to answer. You would agree with me that there was that you had no liquid or solid food into your system from the house, from the party, all the way to the house.
No liquid, solid food from the party to the house.
Okay. So, you also testified during the preliminary hearing that you were feeling buzzed. Remember using that term?
Yes.
Okay. During direct, the prosecutor asked you whether you were starting to feel the effects of alcohol. Remember that?
Yes.
Okay, but you would agree that there's a difference between being buzzed and a difference between being drunk.
Correct.
And, you know, your terminology even. I mean, you call, you know what it is when you call yourself buzzed versus drunk, right?
Yes.
And you would agree with me that during the preliminary hearing, when you testified under oath, you never said that you were drunk,
I did not say I was drunk.
right? And the most you said that you felt a little buzzed.
Yes.
And by buzzed, I'm assuming what you mean by that is you're still kind of in control. I mean, you feel good.
Yes.
Right? I mean, you're able to walk.
Yes.
You're able to talk.
Yes.
You had no problems with, you know, coordination or muscle control?
I did not.
Okay, because you would have remembered that.
Yes.
So what's significant about this is if you were, you know, like, I'll use the word trashed, right? I mean, falling down drunk, you would have remembered that, right?
Objection calls for speculation.
Overruled, you can answer.
I wouldn't, I mean, if I was that intoxicated, I wouldn't remember that.
But in this particular case, you remember everything leading up to the couch, right?
I remember the bathroom and the couch,
Right.
but I don't remember walking into the home.
That's the point I'm making, but you remember everything from that evening, from the party all the way to the bathroom and couch.
Yes.
You remember most of the details.
Yes.
You remember pretty much what you had to drink, right?
Yes.
And you remember the fact that nobody else gave you anything. You remember that, right?
Yes.
You remember all the people that were there, right? All the people that you were involved with.
Yes.
Their names, right?
Yes.
What they were driving.
Yes.
And you recall the sequence of events, you know, about being, you know, going from this location to the Jack in the Box, then to the gas station, and then to the house. You recall all of that.
Yes.
So it's fair for me to say that you were probably not, you know, falling down drunk during that period of time.
I was not.
And then for some reason, you just went blank.
Yes.
Just like that. Just,
I went to the restroom. I started to feel the effects of it, the alcohol. Trying to drink some water from the tap, use the bathroom to like help some of this alcohol relieve from my body. Splashing water on my face. So I knew in that bathroom that I may have overdrank the amount that I had, or the beer that I had.
Did you tell anybody?
No,
Did you tell Mr. Winslow, hey, you know, I'm really feeling the effects of this alcohol?
not that I remember.
Did you tell that to Matt?
Not that I remember.
Did you tell it to Nikki? Before
Nikki
she
at
left?
that point was not there.
No, before Nikki, when you parted with Nikki, did you tell her that you were starting to feel the effects of alcohol?
I wasn't feeling it until the bathroom.
Okay. So at the bathroom then, looking in the mirror, you were able to make it from the bathroom. You remember Mr. Winslow knocking on the door saying, hurry up?
Yes.
So then you walk back and sit on the couch.
I don't remember walking back to the couch.
Okay, you remember being on the couch.
Yes.
So there's a break between the bathroom and the couch.
Yes.
Right? So somehow you went from the bathroom to the couch and you don't remember.
Correct.
Looking down at the fabric, and the next thing you know, then Mr. Winslow's behind you.
I remember seeing Matt and Kellen in the kitchen while I was sitting on the couch,
Okay, what were they doing in the kitchen?
just talking.
Okay, were they drinking anything? Just look.
Not that I can see or remember.
What was you did anything about Mr. Winslow? Like, was he wearing the same clothes that you saw in the picture?
Yes.
All right. How about Matt?
I remember him wearing blue jeans.
Okay. And you saw them speak for maybe a minute or so, and then that's it.
Correct.
And then the next thing you know, I'm going back to your preliminary hearing testimony. You were on all fours, right?
Yes.
You weren't lying down flat.
I was not.
So you were on all fours. Mr. Winslow was behind you,
Yes.
right? And then the way you described it in your preliminary hearing, and I think here in direct testimony, is Matt lying down in front of you with his legs spread and he has no clothes on.
Yes.
Okay? And Mr. Winslow has you by the back of the hair and he's forcing your face into Matt's crotch.
Yes.
Matt says, well, you say no, right?
I say stop.
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 Okay. And that's what you recall, saying stop.
Yes.
And then you push against him, the way you described it, you pushed against him with the palms of your hand backwards on his thighs.
Yes.
So with both hands?
With both of my hands.
So did you then lie face down?
Yes.
Do that?
So my face is now against the bed and my hands pushing against his thighs.
Okay. And is that when you were able to see well, I take it Matt's crotch was out of the way by then, right?
Matt had moved.
Matt had moved, okay. And you were then able to see the video camera at that point?
No.
Okay, you said when you were looked over that you didn't see a video camera then?
After Matt moved out of the way, Kellen flipped me onto my back. And that's when I looked to the left, and that's when I saw the camera.
Okay. And how many people were behind the camera?
I saw one shadow. Like, I didn't see the person's face. I just saw a shadow of a body to the left of me and a camera in front of it.
And they were standing in the doorway or they were standing in the room?
There was a window to the left, and he was standing in front of the window.
Okay, so then is your testimony that then Matt said, you know, just stop, dude, just stop?
Yes.
Right? You sure it was Matt that said that?
I believe it was him.
Okay. And then Mr. Winslow, according to your testimony, then stopped,
Yes.
right? And backed away from you, right?
Yes.
And then it's your testimony that Matt comes to you and starts helping you get dressed,
Yes.
right? Now, you would agree with me under this situation that Matt is essentially one of your rapists if this happened the way you said it did.
Objection argumentative.
Overruled.
Yes?
You can answer.
Yes.
I mean, you didn't want to have your face in Matt's crotch, right?
Correct.
Matt had his clothes off, right?
Correct.
Matt was lying naked, you know, with his legs spread, while in your version, Mr. Winslow is having his ramming your face in there, right?
Objection argumentative.
Sustained, you don't need to answer.
Okay.
Well,
You can rephrase.
point is, Mr. Matt, right? Matt's telling the person to stop, correct?
Yes.
And Matt is now coming to your assistance.
Yes.
Matt is helping you get dressed.
Yes.
And you have any problem with Matt helping you?
I'm just in shock.
Okay. I'm just asking, did you have any problem with Matt helping you?
No.
Okay. Matt then helps you get your clothes on, right?
Yes.
Are Matt's clothes on? by now?
Yes.
So he then picks you up, according to your testimony, right?
Yes.
Okay. Were you on the bed when he picked you up, or were you standing? How did that happen?
I was sitting on the edge of the bed.
Okay. He helped you get your clothes on. What did he do? Pull your pants up?
He helped me stand so I can pull my pants up.
Okay. And did he give you a shirt to wear?
I had my shirt. He handed me my shirt.
Okay. So then, did he say something to you?
I don't remember.
Okay. So it's your testimony then that he picked you up, right?
Yes.
And then walked you down the stairs.
I don't remember any stairs. I just remember a door opening into a garage.
Okay. What you remember though is Matt carrying you from the bed to the garage.
Yes.
And I guess the door opened. You didn't see anybody on the way though, right?
I did not.
You didn't see Mr. Winslow.
I did not.
Didn't see the guys anybody with a video camera.
I did not.
And didn't see whether or not there was any people milling about.
I did not.
So you get into once again, Matt still has you in his hands, and you walk into the garage. You remember a white BMW, right?
I remember the emblem. I remember the emblem on the steering wheel.
Do you remember it was white?
I don't remember.
You remember testifying in the preliminary hearing that it was a white BMW.
I don't remember.
Don't remember that offhand?
I don't.
Is that something that you were unclear of now?
No.
Your Honor, we're at about 12 o'clock right now. Think we
Is it
can
time
that-
to take a break?
Yeah, I mean, I've got
All right.
a little bit.
We'll go ahead and take our afternoon recess. We'll be in recess until 1:30. Please remember the admonition, don't discuss the case with anybody. We'll see you all back here right at 1:30. Have a nice lunch.